Hi. It is Women's History Month. Woo!
Yeah, women.
So, I'm going to be doing a Women's History book tag. As per usual, I just Googled it up, and this is what I found. There was a Little Women book tag, but I've never read Little Women, so I know, I'll work on it. Before I get into it, that would be very cool. Thank you. This was originally done over at weirdzeal.com. So head over there. I will link it in the description if you want to go and check it out. Or do this one yourself. All of the questions will be there. So there are 10 prompts, and each is inspired by an important woman in history. So I will read the description of said woman because,
yeah, women.
And then the prompt and then the answer and so on. Oh, and also part of this challenge is that the books should be written by women. Makes sense, but did make it a lot harder. Here we go. Number 1 was inspired by Rosa Parks. I'm going to read what these say, but from this. So that's why I'm looking down. I'm not sad. I'm just reading. Rosa Parks was a civil rights leader whose refusal to give up her seat to a white passenger on a segregated bus led to the Montgomery bus boycott. Her bravery inspired nationwide efforts to end racial segregation. Parks was awarded the Martin Luther King Jr. Award by the NAACP, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and the Congressional Gold Medal. And the prompt is a book about a female character who doesn't do what she's told. I don't feel like this is the strongest start for me, but you know what? Whatever. I liked it. How about the Hunger Games? They told Katniss to die, and she was like, nah, how about I rise up and lead a revolution to change the whole broken system instead. Better idea. Way to go, Katniss. I loved these books when I read them. I read them as they came out, and I'll just never stop loving them. Next. Number 2 was inspired by Ada Lovelace, who I have never heard of. Shame? Probably. I don't know. So here's some information about her. Let's learn together, shall we? Ada Lovelace, the daughter of famed poet Lord Byron, Augusta Ada Byron, Countess of Lovelace, better known as Ada Lovelace, showed her gift for mathematics at an early age. She has been called the first computer programmer for writing an algorithm for a computing machine in the mid-1800s. Very cool. A book with an intelligent female character. Well, I mean, she's not the very first programmer. Wow. For this one, I am going with Pride and Prejudice. I love Elizabeth Bennet. She is intelligent and witty and funny and just an all-around great character, in my opinion. I love that, especially being set in a time when women were seen rather than heard. She has such a strong personality. She is proud and smart and isn't going to be married for convenience sake. And I loved this book. I loved it so much more than I thought I was going to. It's so good. I also have a bit of a weakness for characters who love reading. So, I mean, who doesn't though? Next. Number 3 is inspired by Queen Elizabeth I. What did you do, boo? I don't know. Queen Elizabeth I of England claimed the throne in 1558 at the age of 25. But isn't that like 50 back then? I don't know. It feels right. And held it until her death. During her reign, Elizabeth established Protestantism. Protestantism? That doesn't sound right, but whatever. It's not a word my mouth says. Elizabeth I established Protestantism in England, maintained peace inside her previously divided country, and created an environment where the arts flourished. She was sometimes called the Virgin Queen, as she never married. I thought, okay, hear me out. I don't know anything, so keep that in mind. I thought that monarchy was like bloodline related. So, how does that work? A book about a woman in a position of power. Okay, this whole tag is trying to make me look as dumb as possible. Thanks a lot, women. I'm just kidding. Women are great. I love them. And they're teaching me things right now. I love them. Love them. Okay. Anyways, what I chose was, and this is a bit of a cheat because it turns out I don't have a lot of books on my shelf that fit this prompt. But I chose Circe. She isn't so much a woman in power as she is a powerful woman. So I'm just going to go with it. This is by Madeline Miller. I love it. I guess she rules her own island that she was banished to, but she's still in charge. Circe is a reimagining of a character in Greek mythology. She is an enchantress and a minor goddess who is very good at witchcraft, and that's a problem. She also loves humans, so she was banished, and then we get to hang out with her for 1,000 years, so it's a great time. Anyway, she's powerful, and I love her, and yeah, so I feel like I have thoroughly cheated this question. Next. Number 4 is inspired by Virginia Woolf, who I also don't know. I guess I should read some Virginia Woolf. What did she write? Okay, I don't know any of those. Mrs. Dalloway? The internet says to start with Mrs. Dalloway. So unless you have a suggestion of where I should start, I guess I'll pick that up. Put that in the pile of Little Women. Books I probably should read. Anyways, what does this say? Virginia Woolf. Born into a privileged English household in 1882, author Virginia Woolf was raised by free-thinking parents. She began writing as a young girl and published her first novel, The Voyage Out, in 1915. She wrote modernist classics including Mrs. Dalloway, To the Lighthouse, and Orlando, as well as pioneering feminist works, A Room of One's Own, and 3 Guineas. A book with beautiful writing. I chose, and this, okay, here's the thing. I tend to equate beautiful writing with difficult writing. Usually when people refer to beautiful writing, it seems like it's the really flowery and elaborate stuff that I just don't really click with. So I had a hard time picking one, but I chose, here, I'll grab it. I chose A Tale for the Time Being because it is, I loved it. It's beautiful. And it's written so, it's so interesting the way that this book is put together. Actually, I have a Tale for the Time Being tattoo. Want to see? One second. Ugh. Come on, Mama. You can do it. Ta-da! Anyways, yeah. Back at it. So yeah, A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. It was so different. I really enjoy weird time stuff in my books, and I love multiple narrators, and this has both of those. What I really loved, though, is the way that the author uses footnotes throughout the story as part of the story. Because, so we've got 2 narrators. One is named Now, and she is a teenage girl in Tokyo who is suicidal. Her journal washes up on the other character, Ruth, which is heavily based on Ruth Ozeki, which also adds this weird meta-ness to it. And all the footnotes are her making footnotes on Now's journal. So it's, here, I'm just going to read the bottom of this inside flap because it says it better than I can. Full of Ozeki's signature humor and insight, A Tale for the Time Being weaves across time and space as it probes the relationships between writer and reader, fact and fiction, as well as history, memory, and myth, in a brilliantly inventive, beguiling story of our shared humanity and the search for home. This is one of my favorite books. Like, I really love this book. So I thought it was beautiful. I also read it while I was in Hawaii. So that did not hurt my experience at all. Next, number 5, Joan of Arc. I know her. Thanks, Catholicism. Joan of Arc, a national heroine of France, at age 18, Joan of Arc led the French army to victory over the English at Orleans. Captured a year later, Joan was burned at the stake as a heretic by the English and their French collaborators. She was canonized as a Roman Catholic saint more than 500 years later, on May 16, 1920. A book about a female warrior. I went with Children of Blood and Bone. Me and this series, here's the thing. I loved this book. I did not like the second one even a little bit. So, since it's supposed to be a trilogy, we will see where the third one falls, and that will decide it for me, I guess. But this book was incredible. So yeah, this is YA fantasy. There's a group of people in the world called the Magi who had magic, but when the magic disappeared, the people without magic hunted them and killed them, and ever since they have been living very, very difficult lives. So our main character, Zélie, she goes and she's going to fix it. She's going to get the magic back. Yeah, she becomes a leader and a warrior for her people. It was wonderful. The world and the magic in this book specifically is so cool. And Tomi Adeyemi, the author, she is Nigerian American, and she studied West African mythology, religion, and culture in Salvador, Brazil. So that is all heavily influenced in this book, and especially for the fantasy genre, it gives it this really fresh and unique flavor that, it was great. Next, number 6, Mae Johnson. I say Mae Johnson, I meant Jemison. Bah. Mae C. Jemison is an American astronaut and physician who, on June 4th, 1987, became the first African-American woman to be admitted into NASA's astronaut training program. On September 12th, Jemison flew into space with 6 other astronauts aboard the Endeavour on mission STS-47, becoming the first African-American woman in space. A book set in space. I'm going to cheat again because turns out none of my space books are written by women. Now I know. I have Binti on my e-reader, but I haven't gotten to it yet, so I don't feel confident talking about it. I've been excited about it for forever, but yeah, I haven't read it yet. And then the other one that I was thinking of isn't really space, because I'm pretty sure it's all just on one planet, but I'm using it. It's also only half written by a woman. It's This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El Motar and Max Gladstone. This one, I still don't really know how I feel about it, and I want to give it a reread because I listened to it on audio the first time, and I think that was probably not the best way to experience this book because it had that really, really flowery writing that usually I don't, meld with. But with audio, I wasn't able to slow it down or go at my own pace, and I would have been rewinding every 10 seconds to re-listen to what they were saying. I think that I want to give this one another go because I liked it. I think it needs another read. Anyways, it is about 2 soldiers from different warring factions who are able to go through time and space, and they are leaving each other notes. They're kind of secreting them away because if either one was caught, they would be super killed. It's really complicated, but it's also really interesting. Number 7 was inspired by Rosalind Franklyn. No, I don't know. Thank you for asking. Let's find out. Rosalind Franklyn earned a PhD in physical chemistry from Cambridge University. She learned crystallography and X-ray diffraction techniques that she applied to DNA fibers. One of her photographs provided key insights into DNA structure. Other scientists used it as evidence to support their DNA model and took credit for the discovery. Ooh! An underappreciated book. I chose I'd Rather Be Reading by Anne Bogle. Anne Bogle has a podcast that I listen to called What Should I Read Next? And it's a book recommendation podcast. It does nothing to help the ever-growing TBR pile, but her voice is so soothing, and she is so sweet. She has a couple of books. This is one that I have. This is reflections on the reading life and just bookishness in general. It's very short. It's done in these sweet little chapters that are just so relatable if you're somebody who loves books and reading. It's like sitting around with a friend, like one of your reader friends, and just gushing about how wonderful reading is. So this is a cup of coffee, hanging out. It's a good, wholesome heart smile. It's good. Number 8, Marsha P. Johnson. Marsha P. Johnson was a transgender LGBTQ rights activist and an outspoken advocate for trans people of color. Johnson spearheaded the Stonewall Uprising in 1969. Along with Sylvia Rivera, she later established the Street Transgender Action Revolutionaries, STAR, a group committed to helping homeless transgender youth in New York City. A book about LGBTQ plus characters. Okay, I did not know that this was an LGBTQ plus book when I started it, and it was such a pleasant surprise when the story started going that way. I was like, yes, Taylor, way to go. Fantastic. You should play baseball because you knocked this one out of the park. Sports. So yeah, it wasn't exactly a twist, but it was, you guys, this book made me sob like a baby. A big, blubbery baby. So I hope that I didn't spoil anything for you if you haven't read it yet. This is about Evelyn Hugo, who is a fictional Hollywood icon. And she's loosely based on Elizabeth Taylor, so that's kind of interesting. It follows her path through fame and love and marriage and just her whole life. It's really great. Next. Number 9 was inspired by Amelia Earhart, who I know, she's the missing pilot. That's what I know about her. Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart, I said that different both times, didn't I? Fondly known as Lady Lindy, was an American aviator who mysteriously disappeared in 1937 while trying to circumnavigate the globe from the equator. She had several notable flights, including becoming the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean in 1928, as well as the first person to fly over both the Atlantic and the Pacific. An award-winning book that deserves the hype. The Song of Achilles. I know. I'm going to bring my girl Maddie Mills into this twice because I love her. I have both read the physical book and listened to the audiobook, and both times it was incredible. This one won the Orange Prize, which is now the Women's Prize for Fiction, in 2012. It was nominated for some other stuff, but that's the one it won. This book is beautiful and heartbreaking. I could read the part where they're on Mount Chiron forever. Just forever. In case you don't know, this is a historical fiction retelling of the story of Achilles and the Trojan War. And this is one of the books that made me realize that historical fiction can be for me because they aren't all set during World War II. I was having a hard time, but turns out I can really enjoy historical fiction. So yeah, I appreciate this book for so many reasons. Next. Number 10 is inspired by me. Well, no, it's my choice. I am going to choose Jane Austen. I just stole this whole thing I'm about to say from the Mary Claire website, so I did not write this. The OG rom-com queen, Jane Austen defined an entire literary genre with her shrewd social observations and wit. Born into a family of 8 children in England, Austen started writing her now classic novels such as Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility in her teens. Her novels are funny, endearing, and questioned women's roles within society. Austen had to hide her identity as the author of some of the most popular novels of her day, and it wasn't until her death that her brother, Henry, revealed to the public that she was the real author. Her literary influence remains, and the themes and lessons from her novels still hold up today. I've only read Pride and Prejudice so far, but I loved it, and now I love her. And the prompt is a book that inspires you. I chose Station 11, which I've lent out, but looks like this, by Emily St. John Mandel. I like to write. No, you can't read any, but I enjoy it. One day, maybe I'll feel good and confident enough to share it. But as a writer and creator, the way that this book made me feel reading it and what she did with it just inspires me so much. It was a great story. It was so hopeful despite being before, during, and after a pandemic that wipes out humanity. It still had that incredible thread of hope that it's so hard to explain, because this book, more than the story, was really, really about how it made me feel to read, and that is the goal. Every once in a while you read a book that has that magic that takes you away, and this was one of those for me. Okay, that's all, folks. I know my ignorance was showing a lot in this one. I have a lot to learn, always and forever. But how about all those super inspiring women, right? I'm smarter now, so I've got that going for me. I would love to see more of these, and part of this tag is tagging 8 more people. I'm going to tag 9 because I'm an independent woman. I don't follow no rules. Let's have these 8 people keep it going. I will link, well, I won't link because I'm not big enough. If you subscribe to my channel, eventually I'll be big enough to put proper links. For now, they'll be in the description. Max, over at Max Reads. You know him, you love him. Go check him out. Kristin from Kristin Kraves Books. Jennelle, and her channel name is her name, Jennelle Torrens. Joanna at Fight and Read Like a Girl. Jessica at Bookshelf to Bigscreen. Pernille, I'm sorry, I don't know. Made by Pernille, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Tracy at Tracy's Books. Mario Rita, and her channel name is also her name, Mario Rita. And Hannah at Heck Yeah Books. So that's it. Go check those out. Hopefully they will do this tag. And yeah, you guys let me know, because I wanna see what you say. Thank you for watching. I hope you feel inspired to go out there and be awesome, and to just, be the women we want in the world. What would be really awesome is, like I said, subscribing to my channel. I put out new videos every week. So, thanks. I will see you next time. Bye. Ooh, I'm so sweaty. You like this? I look like a kindergarten teacher. I'm rocking it. I had to wear this cardigan because otherwise my boobs look ridiculous right now.